So how long has it been since I uploaded that initial Curado BFS video? I know it's been at least a month, and every weekend since I uploaded that video, I've been going out and attempting to film this Curado BFS casting demonstration video for you guys. But every weekend something happened, whether it be lures breaking off and blowing up the spool, unusable footage, it rained all weekend, or just people fishing in my normal filming spots. But luckily for you guys, yesterday, despite having a rainstorm interrupt me, I was finally able to complete the footage. And I wanted to do something a little different than the usual GoPro chest mount view. But before I show you that, let's go over the setup that I used. Now obviously, I'm running the Curado Bait Finesse or Curado BFS, and I am mounting it on a Major Craft Speed style. It's a 6'4", 2-piece ultralight. It's supposed to be a moderate fast action, but this is a stiff bass rod that recovers pretty fast, so it's closer to fast in my opinion. But we have a lure rating of 1/32 ounce to 1/4 ounce. Now the line I used is 4-pound mono, and if you've been a subscriber to my channel, you'll know that I normally use this yellow line right here that I buy in bulk for super cheap at Bass Pro Shops. And for all you guys who keep asking what this yellow line is, it's this. As you can see, I can get 3,190 yards for like only 10 bucks. So this is why I use this line, and it is really good casting line, I must say. But I think I got a bad batch because a couple of weekends in a row during the cast, the line would break and I would lose the lure and blow the spool up, obviously, and then I'd have to go home. So I resorted to, I guess, going to Walmart and buying some, I think it's Stren. So more expensive line, but for the most part it held up, and I was able to complete this video for you guys. So in this casting demonstration video, I'm going to show you guys, and especially you guys who have pre-ordered the Curado BFS and are still waiting for it, exactly what this reel can do with BFS weighted lures from the upper end of BFS down to the lower end. So with that being said, I'm going to bring the scale out and show you exactly what lures I used in this video. Alright, so the first lure and the first footage you're going to see is going to be this lure right here. Now this is a JACKALL Yami fish. It's like a 3-inch soft plastic, and I used a number 2 EWG, as you can see. And this lure weighs 5.4 grams, so just a hair over 3/16 of an ounce. Now this is what I would consider a BFS bass lure, and I would normally throw this with like 8-pound fluoro, but in the footage you're going to see it's going to be thrown with 4-pound mono, so it probably is more like 6-pound fluoro when you equal out the line diameters. But anyways, let me show you that footage. Okay, so hopefully you guys realized that the footage you saw was shot using a drone, and it's kind of funny. I bought this drone a couple of years ago, but since the box that came in was so small and so nondescript, it's like a white small box, I kind of just threw it off in the corner, and I guess it got covered up with some stuff and I totally forgot I had it. But yeah, I am using a drone for this particular casting footage, and I'm gonna let you guys estimate just how far the Curado BFS was casting this 3/16 ounce lure. Now I think if I used a 3/16 ounce hard bait, let's say like a Lucky Craft Pointer 65, I would have gotten a little bit farther, but I was estimating I was getting probably over 100 foot on some of those casts, and the lure definitely does tumble through the air, so something that cuts through the air a little bit better than this would travel farther. But once again, view the footage and you guys can make your own estimates as to how far this lure was flying. Alright, so what I'm going to show you next is going to be two different footages. Now one is before a rainstorm had come in, and then the second one is after the rainstorm. And the lure that I'm going to show you next is the Rapala Ultralight Minnow number 4. And this was casted without a snap swivel because the snap swivel kept getting fouled up in the hooks, so I decided not to use one. But you're looking at a 3.3 gram lure, so just under 1/8 of an ounce. And let me show you that footage right now. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that I guess the angle and the perspective of the drone was different both times. Now the drone that I have is just a basic DJI, I think Mini, and it doesn't have a I guess GPS spot lock feature where I can just hit a button and the drone will just go up to the same spot. So I pretty much had to eyeball the position of the drone, and in some angles the cast looked shorter and in some angles the cast looked farther, at least in my opinion. But I'd estimate I was getting probably at least 70 to 75 foot with this 3.3 gram Rapala Ultralight Minnow number 4. So next up is probably the toughest test for the Curado BFS, and this is for all you guys who are wanting to use this reel for not just bass fishing but for panfish and trout. But I am casting the Lucky Craft Bevy Minnow right here. Now it's not this particular minnow because the minnow in the video unfortunately broke off, but I have a story about that I'm going to show you guys here in a second. But this lure weighs 1.8 grams, so right at 1/16 of an ounce, and I'm talking a true 1/16 of an ounce, not a 1/16 ounce weight and then you add a soft plastic. This is a real 1/16 ounce lure total, no snap swivel, and let's check out the footage. Okay, so hopefully you guys got a good view of where that lure was landing, especially with the arrow that I provided. But the before the storm footage, I didn't know that the wind was pushing the drone as far away as it did until I got home and checked the footage out. But I'd estimate that the Curado BFS was casting this little lure probably at least 20 yards or 60 plus foot. And if I was using a lighter powered rod, let's say my Ace Hawk CU double, then you could probably add another 5 foot to that. But yeah, the Curado BFS can handle a true 1/16 ounce with no problem if you are using the appropriate line and rod, of course. But once again, those are just my estimations. You're gonna have to judge yourself how far you think that the lure was casted. So now that you guys have seen that the Curado BFS is a pretty capable BFS reel, I'm gonna end this video off with a little incident that happened yesterday. Now what happened yesterday was that it started raining right in the middle of when I was casting around the 1/16 ounce bevy minnow. So I didn't know how bad it was going to get, so I brought my drone down, put everything in my bag, and I put it under a tree, just hoping that it would just be a brief shower. So while my equipment was under the tree, I was still casting around the bevy minnow that I had. Now I caught a pretty decent bluegill, and I caught a very teeny tiny bass, but I also caught something else. And unfortunately for you guys, I didn't have my GoPro chest mount on, but I thought that I hooked into, I guess, a tree branch out there, and I was kind of slowly dragging it in until it started swimming away. And this thing started peeling drag, and you could really hear the drag clicker going off. And it made several runs. I would say it made at least 5 different runs where it would peel off drag for an extended period of time. So I knew it wasn't a bass. Now keep in mind, this is a teeny tiny lure with teeny tiny hooks, so I figured I got either a drum, a catfish, or a carp. And it turned out to be I would estimate to be a 3-pound carp. And it was actually hooked in the mouth. Now it did bend one of the hooks, but the hooks held up, the line held up, the Curado BFS drag performed perfectly. At no point did I feel that the line was going to break. Whenever the fish took off running, the drag was smooth and consistent and started up really, really easy. So this is definitely a finesse tune drag system from Shimano. And once again, I wasn't able to record this fight, and I kicked myself for that, but I was able to take a couple of pictures of this carp, which I'm going to put up on the screen for you guys right now. So lesson learned, even if I'm going to use the drone for footage, I'm always going to have my GoPro chest mount on, just in case something like this happens. Well, anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this footage. I figured for such an important reel, I would do something special for the casting impressions video and let you guys estimate on your own just how well you think the reel casted. Alright guys, thanks a lot.